this. I mean, just, those of us who may not know a lot, but we know enough, this doesn't add up. Why is it that we're paying $4 a gallon? And it seems like, and I hate to tell you folks, I don't think we'll ever see the low prices that we've seen in the last month or two. If you've noticed, the last 2 days they're going up. I don't think we'll ever see those prices again. It took almost a depression to get us to those prices. So just to prepare you for what's to come, you might as well just buckle up your belt, because there is an issue with oil. This may be the defining issue in the end times. And there are many of us, at least for me, I can speak for myself, when I was in seminary back 25 years ago and I was studying all this stuff, I could never really connect the dots, how it could happen. There seemed to be missing pieces to the puzzle. But folks, I can tell you today, I have more assurance when it comes to the Bible, more assurance about what we're talking about today than I've ever had in my life, because now I understand how it could happen so easily. And it could be that black stuff that they now call the new gold, oil, that literally will control the world. Just stop and think about it. When there's a national emergency in this country, and maybe it was in 911, or maybe it was, the Hurricane Katrina, what was the first thing most of us did? We all rushed to the gas tank, didn't we? To the gas company. I mean, we just had to fill up that tank of gas, because the last thing we wanted to do was to be without what? Gas. Listen to me, folks, and I know this is hard for us to swallow. We're just one decision away from them cutting off the oil. That's it, just one. There are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that some of us don't want to know, and I didn't know until I started doing some research here. But I just want you to know there is a real connection with the oil thing. 1932, the United States of America set up some agreements with Saudi Arabia with some of the oil reserves. Have you ever wondered why we haven't responded more fiercely to terrorism, maybe in Saudi Arabia? Remember when 911 happened, a lot of those 19 guys came from Saudi Arabia. Have you ever wondered why we didn't just do more? There's more to the story. There's more to the story. And in 1973, something very significant happened in this country, and most of us probably forgot about it. But there was a time when we used to be on what they called was the gold standard. And what that was our security, our money was backed up by gold. And that was the way, we were secure. Well, 1971, President Nixon decided to take us off the gold standard and move us to the U.S. dollar. And I'm not going to try to make this real complicated, but you need to understand the significance. There was a deal that was made in 1973 between the United States of America and Saudi Arabia, and here was the deal. Because the oil crisis was coming, it looked like, there was a lot that was going to happen, and some of us remember those gas lines. But anyway, America made this agreement. Here was the agreement we made with Saudi Arabia. Listen, we will protect you, but every agreement, every time you sell oil to anybody in the world, it's going to have to be with the U.S. dollar. So that was good for Saudi Arabia to get our protection. It was good for us because now people were having to use our money to purchase oil. And that worked tremendously well until about February 13th, 2008. And some of you have been hearing this word, but there's no connection. Have you heard about euros? There's another standard out there today that people are using to buy stuff with. It's called euros. It used to be that everybody had to use our money to buy stuff, and the U.S. dollar had a lot of value. Now there are euros out there. It's a new standard of money, and Iran in February of 1914 and 2008 said, we don't like using U.S. money to buy our oil, so we're going to have a new stock exchange. And today, when you buy oil from us, you don't buy it using the U.S. dollar. You use it with the euros. You remember Iran talking to Venezuela, and I think his name is Hugo Chavez. Remember that? You've been trying to figure out what that's all about? Iran is like number 4 in the world with oil exporters in the world. Venezuela is like number 6. And they are meeting, and this is their goal. And you just need to know, their goal is to make it possible in the Middle East that all the oil that is sold goes through them in some form or fashion. And specifically, the oil is purchased through the euro and not the U.S. dollar. Folks, that's not good for America. That's not good. So we are moving, and you can see things happening internationally. You can see things are going on. And you say, well, how far would we go to protect ourselves? Well, in 1976 or 1980, Jimmy Carter was the president of America. And back then, they knew then what we know now. And it's hard. It really is hard. I had a guy I was playing golf with on Christmas vacation, and I was preaching him this sermon, okay? So y'all are not the first ones to hear it. So I'm talking to him about, this oil thing. And he brought up an interesting point that all of us have wondered about. How is it possible for America to put somebody on the moon in 1969 and we can't figure out this energy problem? Does that make sense to you? That makes sense to me. Unless there's more to the story. And there is. Could it be God has chosen this time, this method, and oil is going to be such a vital part of what takes place in our world in the next big event, that we better just start reading the tea leaves, if you will. Jimmy Carter realized that we were in a critical situation when it came to oil in 1980. It's called the Carter Doctrine. Let me read it to you. This is what he used in his State of the Union message, and listen to him very carefully. Let our position be absolutely clear. An attempt by any outside force to gain control of the Persian Gulf region will be regarded as an assault on the vital interest of the United States of America. And such an assault will be repelled by any means necessary, including military force. 1980, we knew we had this problem. And this is what we said as a country. If anybody tries to interrupt the oil supply, it is in our natural interest, vital interest, that we'll do whatever we have to do to stop it. You remember Kuwait? You remember when Saddam Hussein decided he wanted to move in, and we decided we were going to protect their freedoms, and that was good. But folks, listen to me very carefully. The reason that we did what we did was not to necessarily free Kuwait. It was about oil. It was about oil. We are living in a day and age where people behind the scenes, they know exactly where we stand. They know what we need. And I can tell you, with President-elect coming into office, Obama, we've all heard the energy is like number 1 or 2 on his list, and it should be. But listen to me. All the experts that I've read about, this is what they're saying. We're at the minimum of 10 years away from doing anything of significant difference when it comes to energy. Most believe we're at least 20 years away. A lot can happen in 10 years internationally. So oil has now become such a part of other countries, and everybody is dependent. And there's nobody more dependent on it than guess who? The United States of America. We're number 1. China's number 2. Japan's number 3. Russia's number 4. Now, we look around and we could see there are third world countries and they could care less about oil, right? I mean, think about it. There are parts of this world where they don't need oil to survive, right? But folks, we're just one decision away from them just turning it off. Something happening in an international way. What if Saudi Arabia? And what if the Muslim countries? And what if all these other countries decide to just... it takes oil for all the military weapons that we have. We could shoot them one time, but that would be about it. I mean, we couldn't go to work. Everything that we know in this country would literally come to a screeching halt if we didn't have oil.